Msibi, Thembi, good morning to you and welcome to AM News.
Good morning to you and to your viewers.
What happened with the adverts? Have they been removed already?
They should have been removed by now. Basically, what happens is that Sanral would have to tell the radio stations where they place the adverts to remove them. Normally, it would take anything from about 24 to 48 hours for them to be removed, depending on the internal processes of that particular radio station.
Now, how did you come to the conclusion that the adverts were misleading?
Well, according to the code of advertising, before an advertiser makes a claim or publishes an ad with a claim, they must have evidence of that claim. So when there's a complaint, we give the advertiser 5 days within which to submit. They did not. They asked us for an extension. And a month after the extension, they still had not provided us with the information. So that for us indicates then that they do not have the substantiation at hand, or it leads us to that assumption, and we had to make a ruling. So we ruled that they then have to take them down.
Was Sanral unethical by airing adverts that were not factual as such?
Well, I'm not sure about the ethical question. You know, sometimes there may be internal processes that may stop advertisers from giving us the evidence. It shouldn't be, but that may have been the case, the situation. We have had an update to the case. They actually have come back with that evidence, and we're in the process of viewing that evidence and seeing that it is actually accurate.
And verifying the evidence.
Yeah, and verifying the evidence, yes.
Now, in a case like this, what sort of sanctions does the ASA impose on organizations or companies that make misleading adverts to the public?
Initially, we did not start with sanctions. I mean, you know, there may be various reasons why a company has not submitted. But if it persists, or we see that there's a pattern to a particular company doing that, we have a number of sanctions available to us. For example, we can ask them that before they place an ad, they have to go to the ACA for the ACA to check that the ad is in line with our rulings. Should it persist, sometimes we can actually have a situation where we ask them to print an apology to the public. But that usually is in extreme cases where there's been history, or we feel that the breach was very severe.
Are there
but
any
at this point in time, we have not given that kind of a sanction. The only sanction is that they must remove the ads at present.
Does it involve any financial implications for the perpetrator?
For the ASA, no, but basically, yes, it would. I mean, if you have to go and get pre-clearance, you have to pay for the pre-clearance. Also, it delays your ad. So there's consequences to any of them. And if we ask you for the apology that I talked about, you are paying double, but now for apologizing. So there are financial implications to any of our sanctions.
So when an organization misleads the public, is that the same as lying?
In some cases, it can be lying. Because sometimes we present the evidence and it may not be substantive evidence, or it may not prove that point. I'm kind of wary to say that, because in most instances we haven't found outright lying. I would say, I mean, I don't have the statistics now, but it would be very rare that there's outright lying from many advertisers.
Is it only Sanral that get the wrath from the ASA, or is it also the advertising agency?
No, it's usually the
client.
The client. But what happens is that if it persists, or it's a major breach, clients sometimes move away from an advertising agency if they see that they do not actually know the rules of the industry themselves. So there are consequences on both the advertiser, who's Sanral at this point in time, and the agency that they use.
Your advice to Sanral and other organizations out there that are going to put ads together that are misleading, what would you be? They need
to know, become aware of the code of advertising and what can be done out there, because this is by the industry for protection of the consumer, and also to ensure that there's an even playing field for advertisers. So they need to make themselves conversant with the code of advertising. Otherwise, they may be found to be on the wrong side of the code.
What's the next step now with Sanral? So you received some more information?
We've received it. We will look at what they presented. We also give the complainants an opportunity to comment on the substantiation, and then we will make a ruling.
Thembi, thank you so much for joining us here in studio, joining us here on AM News.
Thank you.
That was the CEO of the Advertising Standards Authority of South Africa, Thembi Msibi, joining us here, talking about the issue with Sanral, about the radio and television adverts that they have asked Sanral to take off air.